Welcome back to the Qlik MCP, Cordon Green Culinary School of Agentic Awesomeness. This is Chef Qlik, and I hope that you're well rested and caffeinated up, sous chefs, because today we are going to be doing some advanced knife work, cutting through some hardened development processes and flipping them upside down, as easily as you might some chocolate chip pancakes. As always, my friends, no microwaves allowed here. We're going to be putting our hearts into these dishes. Welcome to course 401. Believe it or not, sous chefs, by the end of the class today, we will have started with the Snowflake OSI Semantic View and used it to create governed Qlik application, all with the agentic awesomeness that we use for each and every class. It's a 400 level course because Chef Qlik is going to be walking you through 4 different courses. We'll begin with a well-defined and trusted source of data. We'll generate a load script that can actually build a wonderful data model for us, including all the metadata that's needed by developers to know which field is which as they might be doing any coding. We'll begin generating master dimensions and measures with descriptions and expressions that are governed and trusted. Finally, we were going to discuss the paradigm shift and the value presented with this new development process. Well, as you know, most chefs begin their day by looking for fresh protein and vegetables. I started my day by finding this fresh synthetic healthcare data set that's out in Snowflake, thanks to my good friend and healthcare brother from another mother, Joe Warbington. It's shared through their data marketplace, and it's free for all to use, which is perfect because Qlik's on a tight budget, so it's perfect for us. When I was a young whippersnapper, like last week or 2 weeks ago, I started out in my mom's kitchen finding data, and finding it like this was a rarity. Nowadays, we as data chefs have more sources than we can typically use. The development process is simple yet painful, especially with bronze or silver layer tables like this happens to be. You'd spend hours and hours and hours trying to understand how all these wonderful yet complicated tables and data was supposed to be modeled. Then you'd spend hours and hours and hours trying to get the data modeled just right and guess at all the expressions that you needed with all of the conditions the end users would need, only to have them call you at 4:59 right before their big meeting with the big cheese to tell you that you seem to have forgotten one rule that you needed in your 85-line nested if statement. If and when you did ever find out everything was okay, then when the 8th or 9th day of the week came along, you could manage to have time to document all that hard work. You'd manually start commenting your code, you'd manually input metadata into your tables and fields, you'd manually convert your handwritten 99th expression to master measures so that they could be maintained. Well, with Qlik and MCP, what they offer is a frictionless way to handle that same thing, thus getting information to your business users quicker and in a much more well-defined way, allowing you to prototype them. Do we need other sources, or can you answer all your questions with what we have here? How do we display this information for your target audiences so that they can benefit based on the story they need in order to take action and based on their data literacy levels? Qlik has partnered with Snowflake to support their OSI semantic initiative because it really does flip the script on the development process. You begin by creating a semantic view rather than waiting for the 8th or 9th day of the week to document what is what. So what exactly is a semantic view? Well, it contains the definition for your tables, your relationships, the dimensions, the metrics, the metadata, facts, and sample values for the tables. All the things that governance and trust are made of for any AI or business intelligence product. The timing literally couldn't be better. You see, Chef Claude can go into the walk-in cooler and speak to the Snowflake MCP connector and ask for all those semantic goodies that we want to use for our meal. Then he delivers them to the Qlik MCP server station with charm, grace, and speed that he's known for, where everything can be prepared and delivered for our diners. Chef Claude is classically trained in the culinary skill of understanding an OSI semantic view. The synthetic healthcare data set is literally a silver layer set of tables, multiple fact tables, and dimensions with foreign keys to both of the facts. The prompt used here was perfect for a silver layer schema because it asked it to recognize if there's multiple fact tables and translate that into a great Qlik data architect model, just like Chef Dork would do in Qlik itself. He recognizes the multiple facts and generates a script file that concatenates the fact tables together and concatenates the key fields in each of the dimensions. This avoids any synthetic keys or circular references that might pose problems when you're dealing with your bronze or silver layer environments. Notice that Chef Claude has even been kind enough to help us avoid potential synthetic keys by qualifying the fields in our tables except for the IDs. Try as he might, Chef Dork didn't always have the time to hand type every comment for every field in the entire data model, but Chef Claude was all over it for us. Now, why is that important? Well, check this out. Now, anyone reviewing our data model is easily able to understand each and every field contained. When they go to write code with any of those fields or do something, they're going to know what they're dealing with. Any experienced clicky is going to tell you that this architected data model is a fantastic meal. But at the Qlik MCP Cordon Green Culinary School of Agentic Awesomeness, a good meal is just the beginning. It has to be plated in an artistic fashion that pleases the eyes and senses of all our diners. Chef Claude can plate this data meal so that any diner can consume the meal as they choose. By creating master dimensions and measures, they are what allows the trust and governance we have in the data model to translate to those objects on the screen. Not only will Chef Claude use the metadata descriptions contained in the semantic view, he uses the sample values so that any diner or Qlik designer knows exactly what the dimensions are. This is especially useful in an environment where differing fields may have very similar names. While the data model honored all of the uppercase format of the field names for Snowflake, Chef Claude was kind enough to convert the names to a more human-readable format for us poor humans who he's helping to augment. You gotta love that Chef Claude. He really does go the extra mile. So as sous chefs, you don't have to. If our diners happen to be analysts, they can immediately begin asking questions with Qlik's AI Insight Advisor. They can get the answers and it helps them start designing screens. If our diners are end users, naturally they can ask for the details about any object that might be on the screens, and they can see the descriptions for it, as well as the fields that are part of that thing, because oftentimes a measure involves more than one field. Not only can they see that information, they can ask for the lineage because we have the confidence and trust already built into this application right from the beginning that we pulled from that Semantic OSI later. We were able to simply ask for an entirely new data model chock full of healthcare goodness that Chef Claude pulled from our Snowflake walk-in kitchen. Then he orchestrated the plating and to perfection with the Qlik MCP server. Well, sous chefs, our class is over for today. Give yourselves a hand. At the onset, I told you that we would be making a paradigm shift and flipping a long-established development process upside down, which I hope you can agree that is exactly what we did. As always, my friends, keep your questions sharp and your bow ties green.